A poor husband and wife lived in a small house near a high stone tower. They loved each other very much, but felt deep sadness because they had no child. Every day they prayed and hoped for a baby. Behind their house was a strange and beautiful garden. It belonged to a powerful witch. No one dared to enter it. Inside, fresh green plants and shining vegetables grew. The wife often looked at them and felt a strong desire. One day, the wife saw a special plant called Rapunzel growing in the garden. Its leaves looked fresh and magical. She told her husband, "If I don't eat that plant, I will become very sick and weak." The husband became very worried. He knew the garden belonged to a dangerous witch, but he loved his wife deeply and could not see her suffer. He decided to risk his life and secretly enter the garden at night. At night, the husband climbed over the wall and quickly took some Rapunzel leaves. His heart was beating fast with fear. He ran back home and gave them to his wife. She ate them and felt a little better. After eating the plant, the wife wanted more. Her craving became stronger every day. She begged her husband again, "Please bring me more Rapunzel. I cannot rest without it." The husband felt trapped, but agreed once more. That night, when the husband entered the garden again, the witch suddenly appeared. She had sharp eyes and a cold voice. She shouted, "How dare you steal from my garden?" The man trembled with fear and could not speak. The husband begged for mercy. He told the witch about his wife's sickness. The witch thought for a moment and said, "I will let you take the plant, but you must give me your child when it is born." The man was shocked and afraid, but he loved his wife and feared losing her more. With a heavy heart, he agreed to the witch's condition. He took the Rapunzel and returned home, hiding the terrible truth. Months passed, and the wife gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. The parents were very happy, but their joy did not last long. One day, the witch came to their house and took the child away forever.
The witch took the baby far away into the forest. She placed the child inside a tall, lonely tower with no door. Only a small window was at the top. The witch said, "You belong to me now, little one." As the child grew, the witch named her Rapunzel after the magical plant. The girl had soft golden hair that became longer each year. Rapunzel did not know her real parents and believed the witch was her only guardian. Rapunzel spent her days alone inside the tower. She had no friends and no way to leave. She sang songs and looked out of the window. Sometimes she whispered, "Why am I always alone in this place?" The witch visited Rapunzel often. Since there was no door, she stood below and called, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel would drop her long golden hair, and the witch climbed up using it like a rope. Rapunzel trusted the witch completely. She believed the outside world was dangerous. The witch told her, "The world is full of evil people." Rapunzel nodded and said softly, "I will stay here where it is safe." As years passed, Rapunzel's hair grew extremely long and strong. It shined like gold in sunlight. She carefully brushed it every day. Sometimes she laughed and said, "My hair is my only friend in this tower." One day, a young prince was riding through the forest. Suddenly, he heard a beautiful voice singing. He stopped his horse and listened carefully. He said, "This voice is magical. I must find where it comes from." The prince followed the sound and found the tall tower. He looked around but saw no door or way inside. Confused, he said, "How can someone live here?" He decided to hide nearby and watch carefully. Soon, the witch came and called, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." The prince watched in shock as long golden hair fell from the window. The witch climbed up easily. The prince whispered, "Now I know the secret." The prince waited until the witch left. His heart was full of curiosity and excitement. He said to himself, "Tomorrow I will try the same call. I must meet the girl with the beautiful voice." The next day, the prince came to the tower and stood below. With a hopeful voice, he called, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair."
Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair.
Who calls to me?
After a moment, golden hair fell down. The prince felt nervous but excited. The prince climbed up using her long hair. When he entered the tower, Rapunzel was frightened. She stepped back and said, "Who are you? You are not my mother." The prince gently replied, "Do not be afraid. I mean no harm." At first, Rapunzel was scared because she had never seen a man before. But the prince spoke kindly and softly. He said, "I heard your beautiful singing." Slowly, Rapunzel smiled and said, "No one has ever come here before." They began to talk every day. The prince visited when the witch was gone. He told Rapunzel about the outside world, trees, rivers, people, and joy. Rapunzel listened with wonder and said, "I wish I could see all this." Rapunzel started dreaming about freedom. She looked outside the window and said, "I want to leave this tower one day." The prince replied, "I will help you. You deserve to see the world beyond these walls." The prince made a plan. He said, "Each time I come, I will bring silk. You can weave it into a rope." Rapunzel nodded happily and said, "Yes, then I can climb down and escape with you." Days passed, and Rapunzel secretly worked on the silk rope. She felt excited and hopeful. Whenever the prince came, they smiled and talked about their future. Rapunzel said, "Soon I will finally be free from this lonely tower."
I do not just want to visit you. I want you to be my wife.
I trust you. I want to be with you forever.
The witch began to notice something strange. Rapunzel seemed happier and distracted. One day the witch looked at her carefully and thought, "Something is different. I must watch her closely and find out the truth." One day, without thinking, Rapunzel said to the witch, "Mother, why are you heavier than the young man who visits me?" Suddenly she realized her mistake. The witch's face turned dark with anger and shock.
So you have been meeting someone behind my back? You ungrateful child!
Her anger grew like a storm, and she planned to punish Rapunzel severely.
The witch's anger turned cold and cruel. She grabbed Rapunzel's beautiful long hair and said, "You have betrayed me." Rapunzel cried and begged, "Please forgive me." But the witch did not listen and prepared a harsh punishment. With sharp scissors, the witch cut off Rapunzel's golden hair. The long, shining strands fell to the floor. Rapunzel cried deeply, "My hair!" The witch said coldly, "Your beauty and pride are gone now. You will suffer for your mistake." The witch took Rapunzel far away to a lonely desert place. There was no comfort, no home, only sand and wind. Rapunzel wept and said, "Why am I alone again?" The witch left her there without kindness. Rapunzel lived alone in the desert, facing hunger, heat, and sadness. She missed the prince and remembered his kind words. She whispered, "Will I ever see him again?" Tears rolled down her face as she struggled to survive. The witch returned to the tower and tied Rapunzel's cut hair to the window. She waited quietly for the prince. With a dark smile, she said, "He will come, and he will learn the truth in the most painful way."
Rapunzel! Rapunzel! Let down your hair!
When the prince entered the tower, he saw the witch instead of Rapunzel. He stepped back in horror. The witch laughed and said, "Your beloved Rapunzel is gone forever. You will never see her again." The prince felt his heart break. He cried, "Where is she? What have you done?" The witch replied, "She is lost to you." In deep sorrow and madness, the prince jumped from the tower in despair. The prince fell into sharp thorns below. He survived, but the thorns hurt his eyes, and he became blind. He cried in pain, "Rapunzel!" Now alone and unable to see, he wandered into the wild forest. For many days and nights, the blind prince walked through forests and empty lands. He had no food, no direction, only sadness in his heart. He softly said, "Rapunzel, I will find you, no matter how long it takes." The blind prince continued wandering through forests, valleys, and empty lands. He faced hunger and cold, but never gave up. Every day he called softly, "Rapunzel, where are you?" His heart still believed he would find her someday. Far away, Rapunzel lived in the lonely desert. She suffered greatly, but stayed strong. Over time, she gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. She loved them deeply and said, "You are my light in this darkness." Rapunzel cared for her children with great love. Even in hardship, she protected them from heat and hunger. She told them stories and sang softly. "Do not fear," she said gently. "Your mother is always with you." One day, the prince wandered near the desert. As he walked, he heard a soft, beautiful voice singing. He stopped suddenly and whispered, "This voice, it feels like a dream I once knew." The prince followed the sound carefully. His heart began to beat faster. He called out, "Rapunzel, is that you?" His voice was full of hope and fear. He prayed silently that he was not mistaken again. Rapunzel heard the voice and froze in shock. She ran toward it and cried, "My prince!" When they met, she held him tightly. Tears filled her eyes as she said, "I thought I lost you forever." Rapunzel's tears fell onto the prince's eyes. Miraculously, his sight slowly returned. He opened his eyes and saw her again. With joy, he said, "I can see you, Rapunzel. This is a miracle."
We are together again.
Our love survived every pain and darkness. Now, we will never be apart again.
The prince took Rapunzel and their children with him. Together they left the desert and traveled towards his kingdom. As they walked, Rapunzel looked ahead and said,
A new life is waiting for us.